reason they were able to take ONIC Esports down in the upper brackets last time was in the draft. And RRQ still sticking to that win condition, staying in the first pick on the blue side. ONIC Esports on the red. Welcome to the drafts for game number 1 in the Royal Derby.
And I'm quite surprised, right? Because when we're talking about Vin, we usually see him play like we saw last season and even in MSC, him bringing up the Franco. So hopefully we get to see that. I'd really like to see his Franco again, but if we take a look on the screen here, Akai has also been banned away from the side of ONIC Esports.
Recently, this Akai has been a lot more flexible. Different teams have been able to use it in very unexpected locations, unexpected roles. So that won't be an issue any longer. But for RRQ, Hoshi, and ONIC, it seems like it's a good mix of priority heroes as well as respect ban. As we talk about respect, Fanny gets banned away. Kyrie will no longer be able to show his cable prowess in game number 1.
Which is interesting, right? Yeah. Because the Fanny has only won once in the entire playoffs. That was on the hands of Kyrie. Albert tried to play that Fanny, was not able to get that victory. But we'll see, once again, that Yves is going to be prioritized by ONIC Esports. For the bans, RRQ with the first pick here, ladies and gentlemen. What are they going to go for? Paquito still up for grabs. Oh. They pick up the 1-1, the signature for Skylar in Season 10. Number 2 in the global rankings for Jakarta.
But as a response, Paquito and Valentina secured from ONIC Esports a lot more flexibility and power in the lane. RRQ Hoshi, will they try and go for strong laners themselves? Because if they bank on the 1-1, it's a dangerous lane that can be affected by the other laners if roaming happens. And we know that ONIC, they roam real quick, and RRQ Hoshi will have to adjust against that.
Ooh, this is starting to get really scary, right? Because 1-1 being opened up for Skylar, that's going to be one of the main lanes that ONIC Esports need to shut down at this stage. But ONIC still do have the possibility of picking up someone like the Diggy. Let's see how RRQ Hoshi will respond to this. Do you think that they'll take this away? Take the Diggy here in the first phase, perhaps? But Esmeralda and Cho. So that's going to be the route. 2 very strong picks for RRQ Hoshi as well.
The thing is, though, ONIC Esports have a chance to actually flex this Paquito and pick something else. I was expecting the Paquito to go to the jungle, as they can pick up a Dyrot to counter the Esmeralda. But no, ONIC Esports, Kyrie, feeling confident, picks up that Ling. Samsung Ling, ladies and gentlemen, in game 1 of the series for Kyrie. ONIC, instantly, they picked up the Ling, they banned the Hilda. It's a must at this point.
Yeah, we've seen how crazy the Hilda can be. We've seen it come to huge success being able to inhibit the rotations and even the farming pattern coming in from any particular assassin, and the Ling is going to be one of them. So they do and have a really good emphasis on allowing Kyrie to farm, and that's going to be one of the ways to victory in their upcoming match here. But RRQ Hoshi now, they have responded with the Matilda, respecting that away from ONIC Esports. They don't want a type of hero that can be able to give really good engage and disengage with a guiding wind and cause issues with a really good point-and-click AoE stun.
For ONIC Esports now, it gets a little bit tricky for them in the bans. If they go for the ban towards another roamer, which they do, this Cho can be flexed into that roam position. But if they go for the jungler, again, right? That Cho can also be the jungler. But RRQ now, here, the fact that they already picked up the Matilda, they banned the Matilda out, I mean, they've already picked up a 1-1. They need to secure or to ban out a hero that can counter the 1-1. Irithel becomes the first in mind to come up for me, for RRQ, if they really want to help this 1-1 scale. But remember, the Diggy is still up for grabs as well. They go for another counter. It's the Phoveus that gets banned in the end. RRQ now is the scary situation for them. ONIC have a chance to pick up the Diggy, have a chance to pick up the Irithel. 2 counters, even.
And it's interesting why RRQ Hoshi has actually opted for the Phoveus ban, realizing they already picked up the Esmeralda.
Right, they pick up the Esmeralda here. That's an interesting situation for sure, but RRQ, I think they just want to put all their hopes on this 1-1, and of course Skylar can deliver, but as Mirko was mentioning, an Irithel picked up already, and in addition to that, a Ling and a Paquito as well as a Valentina. All very serious threats to a marksman that can instantly be one-shot. So for RRQ, They require some kind of tankiness. They require a lot of crowd control, especially because ONIC, they understand that. They ban out the Hilda, they ban out the Jawhead as well. So RRQ, they're gonna be struggling to find a hero that can really pose a big threat with dynamic possibilities. Because if they go for something like a Franco, yes, they can go for big pickoffs, but can they secure, will they be able to actually hunt for that Irithel in the back line?
The Cho should be flexing to the jungle here. They pick up a Farsa, and there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's the reason I was about to say they can flex the Cho into the jungle. That's already a solid counter to the lane, but they need someone to catch that back line, to find the Irithel. Now, both of these picks, the Farsa and the signature Franco, can do that. Farsa poking the Irithel down, and obviously those iron hooks from Vin. The Franco that's been hidden throughout the regular season, throughout the playoffs. This is their hidden weapon, and they picked it up here. ONIC Esports, however, have a chance to pick up a Diggy here against so much CC. Lockdown from RRQ, even up against the 1-1. It becomes such a viable option for ONIC Esports. But is Keyboy comfortable on a hero like that? No, he isn't. He goes for the Lolita instead here. Another form of that counter, right? The reason the Lolita worked so well for ONIC in game 1 was because RRQ lacked CC.
Exactly.
ONIC have a lot of CC in this game to counter that Lolita Numnam Blast charge. They have literally everyone here. And because the Gusion is in mid, he has to petrify too. So that's CC. But ladies and gentlemen, it's time to dive into game number 2. Into the land of Dawn here. As ONIC Esports take on RRQ. ONIC 1-0 currently, looking to make it 2-0 with their drafts.
Their mid power spike is going to be so felt here for ONIC Esports. RRQ Hoshi, they have to be careful. How are they going to do this? Should they play for the early game? Should they play for the late game? Because in that mid game, ONIC Esports, they're just going to roll on RRQ Hoshi with their composition.
Definitely in the late game, I think. If you look at ONIC Esports, they do very well in skirmishes, but in the 5v5, there's a lot of chance for RRQ Hoshi to go for a combo, to do a lot of damage. But in the early game, they have to be very, very careful. But Albert goes in aggressively. Keyboy is the main target, and he is forced to flicker away. RRQ Hoshi abusing the early game even before the ultimates are ready.
And this is due to that mid control. Gusion, not good. I mean, it's good clear, but not against Valentino, who can just bully you away from this wave.
I think that's the idea of why it was paired with a Cho in that mid lane. But even then, you need to be able to wait for that level 4, I feel, and not be able to do too much of a risky play here in that mid side. As right now, both teams are going to start centering around this turtle. 20 seconds left on the clock. Keyboy still level 2, so I'm not going to expect any crazy plays from ONIC Esports at this point.
I think the mid game with a bit more items is where they're going to try and make plays happen. And for sure, I assume that they're going to avoid big fights and go for the skirmishes. But looking at the talent predictions by Axe, only one RRQ vote in both English and Indonesian desks.
I actually predicted ONIC,
Oh, okay.
to be honest, so...
Only one.
So, only one, all right? If we take it correctly, that means OG, Ranger Moss, is the only one who went for RRQ. ONIC Esports, once again, going for this neutral objective. Kyrie to be stunned up here. As the Numnam Blast will be charged in. The flicker as well. Kyrie to be caught. First blood over to RRQ. The crowd erupts. Presented to you by Samsung Galaxy A Series 5G. The turtle going to be targeted here by RRQ now. And ONIC Esports are going to be forced to back away. And this is where it's going to be disastrous for ONIC, remember. Because, guess what? It's a snowball composition for ONIC Esports. If they don't get that lead early on, if it's instead RRQ who gets the lead with their multi-dimensional draft, it's going to be tough for ONIC.
It is, especially even in the lane, right? Bruno versus someone like Claude. Bruno is going to have a really good game in that early. I think his base damage is already super high, even before items. And going against someone like the Claude who needs those items to scale, in the late game, if Bruno doesn't get that early lead, it's going to be very difficult. As in the top side here, R7 is going to be taken down here in a 2v1 situation. And ONIC Esports starting to look for some compensation on the board.
Let's see in that bottom side with the Dragon. Going to be popped there, stolen away by Clay. Gets another kill. And RRQ, they're really utilizing this pick potential now in this game. ONIC Esports were able to find a trade up top. And unfortunately for ONIC, that's not the winning lane they were looking to play for, because the Bruno so far isn't able to really bully that Claude. The Claude has been free farming here. Remember, he also has the average. So if they trade equally like this, Skylar will definitely have a massive gold lead if it keeps on building, Arashi.
And usually, right, the team that has their gold laner ahead gets a bit more of an advantage in that mid game because right now in the current meta, that gold lane marksman usually is the primary source of damage. So RRQ Hoshi pressuring really well on all facets of the map and also making sure that Skylar is not shut down like in game number 1. That might be exactly the win condition that they need because Skylar has shown that he is absolutely scary if he gets ahead. Silence now picks up the genius one, so lower cooldown. We'll see how much pickoff he can do though because, ooh, RRQ!
Another pick here. RRQ, so far just out-rotating ONIC Esports early on. And again, this is a massive question mark to ONIC Esports who have, well, on paper, should have that early game power. But Bruno wasn't able to bully the Claude, and right now, you can see even in the XP department, it's RRQ winning. Sans though, unit damage onto Vin. That's a roamer right now as he's trying to funnel the gold in onto CW. The shield comes up, the turtle's taken away, the shield as well. Oh my goodness, Vin is able to get out. That's one more shot by CW though. Finally able to get it, but look at the collapse from both Skylar and Albert. Executes.
At what cost, right? 2-for-1 trade here for RRQ Hoshi as their snowball completely just obliterated here, taken away. Kyrie still able to get that buff though, as there is going to be some compensation on the board as Sans. Skylar still able to outmaneuver him, and Sans now is caught in a bad situation. Another pickoff for RRQ Hoshi. A wiped out for ONIC Esports for any hope in that early game snowball.
And Albert just grabbing up the kills like you can get grab food using the promo code grb.to/MPL. Scan the barcode if you're too lazy to type it in because this game is absolutely insane as Albert is just styling on everyone. ONIC Esports getting baited into a lot of situations, spending a lot of times chasing for kills that allows RRQ Hoshi to collapse and punish the overextension. RRQ Hoshi taking a lead right here with a 2.6 gold lead.
Again, RRQ are finding momentum in game 2 instead of 1 like they usually do. ONIC Esports now are in trouble. Albert is snowballing and he definitely used the axe effect earlier. Vin jumps in, stunning Keyboy up. Keyboy looking to away the dragon, bringing Vin back though. Sans with the petrify as well. Vin gonna be taken down. Keyboy is the one who picks up the kill though. Kyrie jumps in once again onto Clay, who's gonna be forced to back up. Has the way the dragon to disengage. Skylar still as well. Lethal counter popped in. Skylar has the blazing duet. He's gonna pop it right now as he jumps into the back line and dealing so much damage there. He's gonna be able to zone the other members away. Albert with the play. TW deleted. The class from Albert in game 2. R7 winning in the lane against Boots as well. 3.7k over to the defending Season 9 champions.
Albert is sitting at 4-0-3 here in the 7th minute. And he's a level ahead of Kyrie at this point. RRQ Hoshi gonna shift their focus now on the neutral objective, taking this turtle. And this is gonna be the 3rd turtle of the game where ONIC Esports has not been able to obtain a single thing on the map other than those 3 kills.
Vin! Oh my goodness, when Keyboy cancels it out, it's not enough though. Keyboy gonna be locked down and Albert picks up the double. Holy Vin! That engage just out of nowhere. No one expected that.
This is exactly what we need to see from Vin. And as you mentioned, the Lolita, when it's ahead, it does a lot of damage and it has very dynamic, surprising engages that ONIC Esports has to constantly worry about on top of the fact that everyone else is just making dynamic moves around the map, especially Albert. Now they are forced to ration out their crowd control because if they don't save some for Albert, you already see the damage he's doing right now. And with the Malefic Roar, even the preliminary physical defense items that ONIC Esports has been able to pick up will be ignored completely.
Yeah, no ordinary Lancelot. 6 times picked up and an 83% win rate. And it shows unreflected as he goes on to Keyboy with a godlike, and there you go.
He's not stopping. He's on to Boots now, and that's going to be the kill. Albert, what the heck? 8-0-3. 8 minutes in, he's picked up 8 kills. The man has 8 kills per minute as the Lancelot. He's absolutely styling right now. And he's looking for that bottom side and the purple buff steal as well. ONIC are not having a good game here. Item builds, Arashi.
Lancelot Albert on the Lancelot, no War X right now. Hunter Strike into the Malefic Roar, understanding that they are tanky members like the Bakito, like the Cho, and the Balmon on the side of ONIC Esports. So he wants to make sure that those guys get deleted as well. And you saw the result. Kyrie, Boots, Keyboy, no one is safe from the damage of Albert right now. But of course, that's for now only. You already see the Antikyras being built by Boots, respecting that potential damage. But now you have to really feel for CW on that Bruno. Very few outplay tools, very few mobility options. And Albert being the one with 8 kills right now, your life is forfeit, man.
But interestingly enough, it's always CW being able to do this, right? Even though he's so far behind in total, he's still able to kind of level Skylar in that gold lane as RRQ Hoshi very easily going to be able to get that Lord. And this is looking bleak for ONIC Esports.
You see, that will usually be good for CW because he's usually on a scaling hero.
But this time he's not.
This time he's not. Sure, Bruno does damage in the late game, obviously. He has a lot of damage in that late game, but what you really want to do on the Bruno is snowball. In the early game, that's when you have the most strength, right? You can absolutely dominate your lane. But again, ONIC Esports did not opt to go for that bottom side gank. Boots, wow, he's just going to be taken down there. That was all the single target. Clay stole Keyboy's ult. Oh, no, that's okay, Albert, actually. I thought it was going to be Bit who gets popped at the Doom, and now Blast comes in, and Skylar jumps up with a blazing duet. It's a triple kill for Clay. CW now in the midst. The Star 7 flickers forward. Clay with the Maniac. Clay with the Savage. No, Keyboy gets down. That's the Savage for RRQ. The first Savage in Season 10 is on a mid laner. It's a wipeout by Head and Shoulders. RRQ, my goodness.
Clay. We talked about him before this game started, but we did not expect that kind of performance. Clay, the person who is always in the back line, being able to get a Savage on the Valentina here. The first Savage of MPL ID Season 10 in the playoffs against a team as strong as ONIC Esports. Wow, I am at a loss for words. RRQ Hoshi now, 8,000 gold lead in the plays that Clay could make. What can ONIC Esports do at this point?
You'd expect a gold laner or a jungler to get the first Savage in the season, Arashi. Clay.
It's Clay on that Valentina. We talked about how flexible, how dynamic this player is right now. So much improvement. And now that begs the question, what is ONIC supposed to do? They take out Albert, and then they get absolutely wiped out. So how mobile, how aggressive RRQ can play, ONIC Esports, they can't even afford to use all their resources to take out one person because RRQ Hoshi will absolutely strike back. And if you take out Albert, Clay is now 7-0-7 as well. He has more than enough damage. And of course, Skylar is still scaling like a monster. ONIC Esports at a loss.
So tough at this point, right? ONIC Esports, they don't have much high ground as well to defend this. 8,000 gold lead and counting. Skylar already with a Wind of Nature, so he can go in, use a Blazing Duet, and just not receive any damage, perhaps, from ONIC Esports.
Maybe Sans will be the one that can change that, depending on the situation. But ONIC Esports, they need to ration out their spells. As we mentioned, they require some crowd control for Albert, now some for Clay as well as for Vin. And if they're a bit too careless, Skylar will come into the Blazing Duet. So they need Sans maybe to try and deal damage to him, because with the Wind of Nature, everyone else, it's going to take way too long for them to take him out. And with that in mind, with ONIC Esports zoned away, RRQ Hoshi take a free Lord, 8k gold lead.
Deja vu, but it's on a different team here for RRQ. Clay looking for that play. Sans is forced to use the ultimate defensively. And when you're on a Gusion, that just shows that your composition and just you in general, you've been outscaled. 9,000 gold lead for the team that should have the hold in the late game or in the mid game. Definitely not the early full like this.
No, it didn't work out. The composition that ONIC Esports brought, unfortunately, it did not work out. And now RRQ Hoshi in the 13th minute with a 10,000 gold lead, approximately one item ahead of each of the members from RRQ Hoshi. And now they're going to look for the final siege.
Well, we'll see. Once again, as that's the Enhanced Lord, RRQ can definitely look for a wipe here, but if ONIC Esports are able to micromanage properly with their CC and their damage, they should be able to defend it for now. Lord going to be cleared in the mid lane. RRQ, don't care. They're going to go for that bottom side, taking it out. R7, the shot of damage there. The Numenat Blast will not connect onto anyone. That's a massive restore of the Flicker as well. On Esports, they're going to play, but it's going to be the taunt coming in. Now the damage as well. That's going to be Stance taken down. Boots in the midst as well. Lethal counter over just to get the immortality. And look at the damage everywhere onto the ONIC Esports members. CW is the only one left, and RRQ equalize in game number 2.
1-1 now as ONIC Esports were able to get that really dominant game in game number 1.